All right, so part B, we need to do the last two examples on this page. Now, to be completely honest, these last two examples are a little extreme, okay? The difference is I need the slope and the y-intercept, but if all I have is 2 points on the graph, I don't have either of these. So we kind of need to mix together what we did on the last couple examples. We need to find the b, but we also need to find the m, right? So when we find the slope, all right, when we find the slope, we can't plug it into the equation like we did here because we don't have enough of all the other parts. We don't have b either. So if we need to find both m and b, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find the slope. And you know how to find the slope because you know the slope formula. So the first thing we need to do is use the slope formula of y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to find the slope. So I'm going to take my equation, I'm going to rewrite this fraction using parentheses with no numbers yet. All right, I'm going to label my points. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to put a 1 here, I'm going to put a -3 here. I'm going to put 4 here, and I'm going to put -4 here. Now remember, to find that slope, you're going to type the entire thing into the calculator all at one time. All right? So I'm going to give you a minute. Type that in. And we end up with 1 over 2. So this is the slope formula, which means I just found the slope of my line is 1/2. So you know that m is 1/2. Now step 2, we need to find b. So step 1 we found m, step 2 we find b. In order to find b, you're going to take the slope that you know, you're going to pick one of your points. I'm going to pick the point 41. And we're going to plug everything we know into the equation y equals mx plus b. So if I use that 0.41, I can use the y value as 1 equals m is 1/2. Instead of x, remember we use parentheses and the x value from my point is 4. And then keep the plus b. So I just used the 0.41 as my x and my y. And m was the slope I just found, 1/2. Now I have an equation where all I need is b, so I can solve for b. In order to solve for b, you first need to do this 1/2 times 4. That gives you 2. Bring down plus b equals 1. To get b alone, you need to move the 2, so subtract 2 from both sides. Now we have b by itself. 1 minus 2 is -1. So my y-intercept that I just solved for is -1. Okay? All right, so now I have y equals 1/2 x minus 1. The slope was 1/2. The y-intercept was -1. Got it? Not hard, okay? So let's come to the next one. I need to know the slope. I need to know the y-intercept. I'm not given either. If you're not given either of them, then your first step is to find the slope. And we find the slope again using this slope formula. So build a fraction, fill in parentheses minus parentheses, parentheses minus parentheses, and then put your numbers in. This is my x1, my y1. This is my x2, my y2. So y2 is -2, y1 is 6. x2 is 9, x1 is -3. All right, so I'm going to give you another minute. Type all of that into the calculator at one time. So we have -2 over 3. That is the slope because I found it using the slope formula. So my m is -2 over 3. So now I know the slope, I need to find b. So our step 2 is find b. I'm going to pick one of the points I was given. I'm just going to go with 9, negative 2. That gives me an x and a y value. I know already that the slope is negative 2 over 3. So I'm going to use all of those numbers in y equals mx plus b, and then I can solve for b. So I'm going to replace y with negative 2. I'm going to replace m with negative 2 over 3. I'm going to replace x, remember in parentheses, with 9, keep plus b. Now you need to solve for b. So the first thing you do to solve for b is this negative 2/3 times 9. So alpha y equals enter, negative 2 over 3 times 9 is negative 6. Keep plus b, and keep equals negative 2. In order to get b by itself, I need to move the negative 6. So I add 6 to both sides. Negative 2 plus 6 is 4. And that's my answer for b, because those cancel. Okay? So my b value, the y-intercept, I just solved for, is 4. Now I have all the information I need to write my equation. So it's y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. So the 2/3 is my slope, and the 4 is my y-intercept. So nothing on this page of notes is hard. What you need to do is you need to identify what you have to find. You need m and you need b. Figure out what you have and find what you lack, okay? As long as you solve the equations and you use the slope formula, super easy, all right?